Hey everybody, Donnie RightSide here, Bookmakers Review. Happy New Year, and what a better way to ring in the new year than taking a look at the college football playoff. 2 games, New Year's Eve, ready to go. The winners of these games will play a week later in the national championship game. But let's focus on the game, rotation 273, 274, the nightcap, the main event, and that is between Ohio State and Georgia. Set the table for this one. The line opened up at 6.5. It still currently sits at 6.5. If we take a look at the total, 59.5 was the opening number. Risen up to about a field goal, 62.5. There are some 62s still out there on the board. Let's take a look at the game itself. It is a college football semifinal. Big stakes are at hand. It's the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. You actually get a trophy if you win this game and also a bowl win before you move on to the national championship game. This game also being played down in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the heart of SEC country. Why? Well, we just saw the Georgia Bulldogs defeat the LSU Tigers in a neutral site game in Atlanta. We also saw to start the season, Oregon come across country and get walloped by the Georgia Bulldogs in this same stadium. We'll see if that's going to play into it today. But let's set the table about how these teams actually got here. Ohio State 11-1 overall in the season. Great season. The Georgia Bulldogs, number 1 for most of the season here, 13-0 and unblemished. The last game we saw Ohio State getting beat by their rival Michigan. Boy, if they win this game, setting up a final, how crazy would that be? Michigan and Ohio State for all the marbles. But before we get ahead of ourselves here, the Georgia Bulldogs have been sensational all season long. In the SEC championship game, they put away the LSU Tigers 50-30 in that game. Now, if we're looking at both of these teams, high-scoring offenses. Ohio State averaging 44 points a game, Georgia averaging 39. Total yards per game, 492 for Ohio State, 492 for the Georgia Bulldogs. Both of these defenses hovering around, giving up around 300 yards. There are superstars on both sides of the football. If we're taking a look at some of the props before we circle back and take a look at the side and possibly a total in this game, from Georgia's perspective, Kenny McIntosh, running back here. Last 3 games, 4 touchdowns combined. If you like him to score a touchdown in this college football semifinal, that's going to cost you minus 220 price. These prices are higher than what we typically take a look at in the NFL, and rightfully so. If we're taking a look at another option here, you want a passing option or you want a receiving option, take a look at Brock Bowers, the star tight end for the Georgia Bulldogs. For him, last 4 games, 3 combined touchdowns here. If you like Bowers to get into the end zone for this game, it is a minus 160 price. But I'm focused on the quarterbacks here. Stetson Bennett, last time we saw him again against LSU in a high-pressure environment, win and take the SEC down, he threw 4 touchdown passes. If you like him on a touchdown prop for him, passes over 1.5 touchdowns, you're going to bet that one. It's about a 136 price right now, but I think he's actually going to be able to get over 2 touchdown passes in this game. Let's flip it over to Ohio State. Immensely talented, but I'm also looking at quarterback here for Ohio State. But if you did want the running back position, Mayan Williams here. 8 carries, no touchdowns in the last game versus Michigan. Okay. How about Marvin Harrison? Star wide receiver, you probably would want to go that route. He's probably going to score, but how about this? Only 2 combined touchdowns over the past 5 games for him, which leads me right to C.J. Stroud in the SEC championship game. Did you know? Yes, Georgia won that game, but LSU threw for 500 yards in that game. That's what's going to have to take place here for C.J. Stroud and Ohio State to advance. I'm not saying that to get to 500 yards passing, but if you catch my drift here, he's going to have to light it up here with at least 300 or so yards. If you think he can do that, his actual price in this game is $277.5. And if you bet that to the over, gets 280 yards or so, you're going to cash that ticket in. But the same way we just talked about Stetson Bennett throwing touchdown passes, I do believe there's a great chance that we're going to get some touchdown passes here out of C.J. Stroud. If you like that prop to throw at least 2 touchdown passes, that comes in at a minus 154 price. So some superstar players to keep an eye on in this one. But if we're circling back to the overall game itself, this line has been sitting at 6.5 the entire way. It seems like everywhere you look, it's all Georgia, it's all Georgia. But why is that why is that line not going to 7 or even higher at this point? It's almost like the sportsbook's going to, come on here. We want that hey, Georgia's under 7. Make sure you get it now. There's 2 ways that you can take a look at Ohio State. Is this a team that dominated all season long and looked fairly impressive on offense in each and every game, basically outside of that Northwestern game? and you think that second half might have been a mirage where Ohio State is better, and if you think there is some motivation factor here for Ohio State, getting a second chance, left on the side of the road for dead, but now having a chance to resurrect their season and win a national championship, which might also mean getting revenge against Michigan in the national championship game, I think that's the way to go here, even though Georgia is really good. Georgia's in SEC country here. It's going to be hard to bet against them, but I'm going to do it. I'll take the 6.5 points, but also, if you can wait around and possibly get a 7, that might be advantageous. But the lines right now are 6.5 at the time of this video. That's the way we're going to keep it. Total in this game, 62.5, probably doable as well, but I think the better options are on both quarterbacks to throw for more than 1.5 touchdowns, which again, in layman's terms, is 2 touchdowns or more apiece from these quarterbacks to cash in some tickets, and also taking a look at C.J. Stroud over 277.5, and also taking Ohio State as the dog plus 6.5. Ring in the new year with Bookmakers Review. It's the only way to go. For Bookmakers Review, I'm Donnie RightSide, and as always, good luck on those wagers.